Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to everybody. Am I audible?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat, Dandavat. So we are continuing with the
Yeah.
fifth chapter. I'll just quickly try to summarize. Well, last class we just covered part of the purport because it's a very long purport, but just to remind ourselves where we are. We are at the point where Prahlad Maharaj was again brought to Hiranyakashipu by Shandana Marka. After first time when he was taught, he spoke about devotional service. Hiranyakashipu was angry and disturbed, so he told son Shukracharya to teach him again. But he didn't think that it was a child's fault. He thought it's a fault of the teachers. They didn't teach him properly, and somebody contaminated, spoiled his mind. That's why he told them, teach him now properly. So they taught him everything they knew about the politics, diplomacy, economics, and other materialistic subjects. And then Prahlad was decorated nicely and dressed nicely and brought to Hiranyakashipu. He put him very affectionately on his lap. He patted him on the head and then asked him, my dear son, please tell me what is the best that you have learned from your teachers. And Prahlad, he had two kinds of teachers. He had this Shandana Marka, materialistic teachers, but also he had the Narada Muni, who was also his teacher. So he spoke what he heard from Narada Muni because he thought this is much more worth and much more important. And then he speaks the famous verse, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam, which is Navavida Bhakti, nine-fold process of Bhakti. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very extensively explains first Shravanam, then Kirtanam, Smaranam, then Padasevanam. If you remember, the Padasevanam was the worship of Tadya, the objects that are connected to the Lord, that are dear to the Lord, like Ganga or Tulsi Devi, but also circumambulation of the holy places, of the deity, of the temple of the Lord. So also using our padas, our legs for service. And then the last limb that we heard about was Archanam, deity worship. And then in just the last purport, Srila Prabhupada, in the last passages that we read, there was a question about Pancharatrika Marg, which includes deity worship, and Bhagavat Marg, which is, Shravanam Kirtanam, Bhagavatam path. And then Prabhupada rhetorically asks, what is the necessity of being initiated? Because initiation means initiation into Pancharatric Marg. You're getting the mantras in order to worship the deities. And the chanting of the holy name is sufficient to enable one to progress and come to the prema and to go back to Godhead. But still, because we are in a material world and we are susceptible to contamination because of possessing material body, deity worship is favorable and desired because it will keep us in the clean state of body and mind. That's why we want to combine both processes, Archana or Pancharatrika Vedi and the Bhagavad process, Shravanam and Kirtanam. So I will share my screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So yeah, last time we took turns in reading. We'll do that again. Just now I want first to go to these offenses because each and every offense is there, and so I might need to interrupt very often. So once we finish the offenses, then everybody else can take turns in reading. Okay, so we stop in this paragraph. Deity worship has two divisions, namely pure and mixed with fruitive activities. This is interesting that Archanam as the process can be pure devotional service, means you are just doing it for satisfaction of Krishna, for his pleasure, but you can have also material motives mixed with the fruitive activities. You're worshiping the deity because you may have some material desires, and through this worship you want to achieve something. In general, Hindu temples, people come to the temple and they bring some offering, do some puja, but they have material desires. They want success in a job, family, to have their daughters married, this or that. So this is a worship of the deity mixed with the fruitive activities. But because we are practicing pure bhakti, we should not follow that path. We should follow part of pure bhakti and pure archana. Okay, for one who is steady, deity worship is compulsory. Steady means steady in devotional service. Observing the various types of festivals such as Janmashtami, Ram Navami, and Simha Chaturdashi is also included in the process of deity worship. In other words, it is compulsory for householder devotees to observe these festivals. We also heard in previous passages how this deity worship is compulsory for grihastha devotees. It's not so much for brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis, but it is compulsory for householder devotees. And that reminds me that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Gaudiya Math, he actually wanted his grihastha devotees to chant regularly every day 64 rounds or 1 lakh of the holy names. And he didn't demand this from the mat residents, from the temple devotees. Why? Because mat resident temple devotees, they anyway engage in different sort of services, whether it's Mangalarti, Kirtan, cooking for the deities, Sankirtan preaching, so many things that they are by the very due to very nature of the temple. So one is forced to engage all day in devotional service. But householders, grihastas, everybody's at home. Everybody has freedom to do whatever they want. So most of the day they work, to maintain their household. And then if they come home and they just chill out and rest, then what will be their devotional service? So that's why for them it's compulsory to chant even more rounds than the temple residents and to engage in the deity worship. In this way, they can balance material and spiritual activities. That's why there is this compulsion for householder devotees in order to make sure that they will be Krishna conscious. Mat residents, temple residents, they are obliged to be Krishna conscious, but just by staying in the temple, because they have to follow the temple schedule, temple routine, and they have to chant also. But also there are many, residents in Gaudiya Math, temple residents, who strictly also chanting 64 rounds. It's not that, and of course there are many grihastas who couldn't chant 64 rounds because their busy schedule of grihastha life didn't allow them. But still, it was intentional Saraswati Thakur to engage in that way. Even Srila Prabhupada himself, he admits that when he was a grihastha, he chanted 16 rounds. pour in the morning, and then in the noon, in the afternoon, and the evening. Okay, now let us discuss the offenses in deity worship. So the following are the offenses. First one, to enter the temple with shoes or being carried on a palanquin. So why would this be an offense? Anybody has any idea?
Shoes are dirty, and palanquin would make you at a higher, more elevated position than the deities. You should be going in with humility when approaching the deities, not in some sort of majestic form.
Yes, good. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, in the modern days, because there are not so many palanquins, you could say not to enter on a motorcycle or something in the car or in some other sort of conveyances. And with the shoes, well, Christian churches, you have to go to the shoes with the shoes. Otherwise, it's considered that it's uncultured if you come barefoot. I don't know the mosques. Whether they go bare, I think they go barefoot in the mosque, but in Christian churches, you have to wear the shoes. It's completely opposite. Okay, B,
I
not to
think
observe.
traditionally, Prabhu, in the old traditional Vaishnava temples, they normally have actually washing places where you
Yeah.
wash. You're supposed to wash your feet and hands before you enter the temple, even let alone shoes. What to speak of shoes? You're actually supposed to wash your feet and hands before you enter as well.
Yes, correct. Just in the front of the entrance, there is a tap, and yeah, even in front of Jagannath Mandir in Puri, there was a place where Lord Chaitanya used to wash his feet. Well, those days also people would walk mostly barefoot, and the feet they were dirty. Nowadays you can say, "Oh, we walk in shoes," so our feet, if we just take off the shoes, our feet should be clean. Anyway, this is some of the rules. Could be not to observe the prescribed festivals. Prescribed festivals means like, the deity festivals, like in Jagannath Puri, they have so many, Snana Yatra, Ratha Yatra, and other festivals specific to Jagannath deities, Odin Shasti, and so on. And then there are general festivals for all Vishnu or Krishna temples like Janmashtami, Ram Navami, Nisimha Chaturdashi. So if one doesn't observe these festivals, if he just pretends it's a normal day and he doesn't do anything to worship, to do special worship with the deity, that means he's ignoring the Lord. It's a Lord's birthday, for example, appearance day of the Lord, and you don't do anything special, then it's offense. See, if you have any comments or questions on any of these offenses, please interrupt me, because later when we pass them, we'll forget. So now we have to go one by one. So to avoid offering obeisances in front of the deity, anybody could interpret this offense? Do you understand what it means? Are we supposed to offer obeisances behind the deity, or what? What does it mean?
In front of the deities, depending on male or female, Dandavat for males and Panchanga for females. So we should lower ourselves in a humble state in front of the deities to show that we are.
Yeah, but we are doing this in front of the deity. But here it says to avoid offering obeisances. To avoid offering obeisance in front of the deity. So what's wrong with that?
Oh,
Any
this is
ideas?
right in front of the deities, is it? I think it said you're not supposed to. I think one of the things is that pujaris in the altar section, they're not supposed to offer obeisances, presumably because the deities would then be able to see their feet, etc. Is that right, or something like that?
Yes, correct. So it should not be in the near proximity of the deity. In the temple room, where you're little far away from the deity, In front of the deity, it's still okay. But on the altar, directly on the altar, you're not supposed to offer obeisance there because you're too close to the Lord for doing this, for paying the dandavats and anything else. So Pujari, before he comes on the altar, he offers obeisances. On the altar, he just folds his hands. He doesn't bow down. Okay. D, to offer prayers in unclean state, not having washed one's hands after eating. I mean, this is self-explanatory. You know, if your mouth and hands are, dirty after eating, contaminated after eating, how can you fold them and offer prayers? It's not proper. E, to offer obeisances with one hand. It's a kind of common thing, the devotees have generally, japa in one hand, and they're chanting, and it's difficult now to take off the hand out of japa. But still, you can somehow, even without taking off the hand out of the japa, offer with both hands by wrapping the japa around your fist and putting it up or somehow or other. But basically, both hands should touch the ground, not just one hand. F, to circumambulate directly in front of the deity. That would mean that you are circumambulating somebody else or something else in front of the deity. So that's why when we have a Tulsi Puja, we put, Tulsi plant in front of the deities. We close the altar before we do Tulsi Puja and before we do circumambulation of Tulsi. In front of the deity, nobody else should be worshipped because that would diminish the position of the deity. G, to spread one's legs before the deity. Yeah, this is uncultured. You are, pointing your legs in front of the deity. It's a little disrespectful. It's a small offense, but still offense.
Prabhu,
So
what's
we should
the
take it. Yes, please.
Just a quick question,
Yeah.
Prabhu. So presumably, a lot of these rules are more strictly to be observed in a temple setting than necessarily in a home altar setting, yeah?
Yeah, definitely in
Because,
the temple, it's more strict.
because I
Some
mean,
of
for
this,
instance, if you don't have we have a temple room at home, but clearly it's
yeah,
not big enough to have a separate altar section and a separate prayer section. So you're still having to, pay obeisances directly in front of the deities. And there's no getting away from the proximity to the deities when playing obeisances, for instance. Secondly, for instance, if the deities are resting, we have Tulsi plants in the deity room, in the temple room, and we're still doing Tulsi Puja in front of the deities because we can't separately curtain off the deities. I mean, the room can be shut, but if the Tulsi plants are, the Tulsi Maharani is in the temple room, then there's no avoiding circumambulating her in front of the deities.
that's correct, Prabhu. In the home settings, some of these rules might not be so strictly followed because these are just details. So in your home settings, some of these rules you might adjust to what is practical, and it will not really be big offense if if you offer obeisances because there's no space further, so you have to offer near to the deity. Things like this. This is small things. And generally, at the end of deity worship, there is a mantra that you pray for to be excused for all offenses that you made intentionally or unintentionally. And it's said that, chanting the holy name clears all these offenses, whether you committed them knowingly and unknowingly. But just the attitude should be that we should try to do our best not to commit offenses. But then, if some small things are committed, it's not big deal. It's you're not going to hell for this. So some rules could be little bent. Chaturamatas, you had something.
Yeah, but what about this F to circumambulate directly in front of the deity? What about we worship Srila Prabhupada and also we circumambulate in front of the deity?
Oh yeah, let's see. Well, generally speaking, as I said, same things applies for Tosi, same things applies for Prabhupada or any other pure devotee. If we circumambulate or worship in front of the deity, that the deity curtain should be closed if it's practical and possible. But if it's not possible, again, it's not big offense. I mean, even in Mayapur, the Srila Prabhupada is just opposite to Radha Madhava's altar. And while the Guru Puja is going on, the deity altar is still open. The Radha Madhava altar is still open. But there is some distance in between, so you can say it's in another part of the room or something like that. So some of these things do not need to be always literally 100%, followed. There are different ways to interpret it. So we have to be a little, judge, to judge properly what is practical, what can be done, what cannot be done. But just the intention should be there that we do not want to offend the deity and we want to give him highest respect. So if some small things like this happen, it's not big deal.
Yeah, what about at home? Because maybe the deity at our altar, and we don't have curtain, and so we just use some objects to
Yeah,
put.
You can put a book or whatever. You can just doesn't need to be a curtain. Whatever kind of blocks the way between you and the deity. And even if you cannot do that mentally, you can pull a curtain mentally, or
Yeah,
invisible
but
curtain.
the book may be not as high as the deities, so is it okay?
It's okay. I think it's okay. The deity will go down. The deity sees the
Okay.
attention. That doesn't need to be, so
Yeah.
meticulous. The
This
deity
our
sees.
intention, not to.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you want to follow everything perfectly, it will be very, very difficult, especially in the home settings. In the temple, the proper curtain can be made, this and that. So don't worry too much about this.
Okay. And what about G, to spread one's legs before the deity? And sometimes our family member or maybe friends, they will come to our home, and then when they sit in front of the deities, maybe they will spread their legs. So is it okay?
Well, yeah, what to do? I mean, you don't want to chastise them. You want to feel them that they are hospitable. So what can you do if they spread? It's also, they're not going to hell for this. I mean,
Yeah.
it generally should not be just pointing directly towards the deity, but if it's so and they don't know and they are not really, it's not so offensive, especially if they don't know about it, and then you're not supposed. So don't worry also about it. This is also not a big deal.
Okay.
H.
Thank you. Thank you.
These are small things. To sit before the deity while holding one's ankles with one's hands. Yeah, I also not sure why is this so disrespectful, but because it says there, it's some rule from Pancharatra. We can remember it, not to hold our ankles, to lie down before the deity. Yeah, well, This is also on the Vaidhi Bhakti part. The temple room is not your bedroom, and you're supposed to be, in a respectful mood there. To lie down means you are kind of feeling like at home. But sometimes, when there is a big festivals and devotees come from different temples, sometimes temple room is used also as ashram. The devotees sleep in the temple room. Of course, the altar is being closed. Also, in Nectar of Devotion, there is a description of a devotee on the Raga path, on the Raganuga platform, who doesn't follow this rule, because in ecstatic love he just lies down in front of the deity, because deity for him is everything. So for him, it's not really offense, because he's on a path to spontaneous love. So these are the rules on the Vaidhi Bhakti for the sadhakas who are neophytes, who are beginners, and who need to learn how to respect the deity properly. Those who advance to the spontaneous love, to the Raganuga platform, and some of these rules they may not follow so strictly. J, to eat before the deity. I was just the other day reading Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu, and Jiva Goswami, he was, regarding this rule, he was commenting that this applies only to eating betel and pan. No, Vishnu Chakri Thakur was commenting that Jiva Goswami didn't comment. He said to eat anything is offense. You're not supposed to have a meal in front of the deity. But Vishnu Chakri Thakur, he was commenting, eating panel, chewing a betel and pan, it's offense, and not the other food. So I'm not sure. If you can avoid eating in front of the deity, that's okay. If you cannot, then it's also not a big deal. Sometimes you're given Mahaprasadam in a temple room, and the rule is that Mahaprasadam should be eaten as soon as you get it. So you're certainly not committing offense, even if you put it in your mouth in front of the deity. Okay. To speak lies before the deity. Yeah, to do any sort of immoral activities in front of the deity, it's again showing disrespect. Address someone loudly before the deity. So you don't want to yell. Sometimes you see the visitors in the temple and then they yell and call their children here and there because they are just not aware, not conscious. But it should not be done. Should not be yelling and calling somebody in front of the deity. That means that you're not conscious that the deity is present there, that it's a sanctified place. It's a temple. It's not a stadium or a street to do these things. And to talk nonsense before the deity, talking nonsense should be avoided, not only before the deity, but everywhere, but specifically before the deity. That means you speak about some politics and this and that, all sort of nonsense one can speak. So one should be very respectful, and if he speaks something, should be something related to the deity. Krishna Katha, the best. To cry before the deity, that means again you are affected by some material problem and some material emotions overwhelm you, and then you are again forgetting about the deity and you are crying about your problems. That means you are in the center, not the deity is in the center. Of course, the devotee who is on the spontaneous platform, if he cries the tears of prema, that's a different thing. To argue before the deity, again, not proper. To chastise someone before the deity, to fight also in front of the deity, it's disrespectful. To show someone favor before the deity, again, you are giving somebody more importance in front of the deity. You are garlanding him, and you are, well, generally it's done with the gurus, even in front of the deities, they're garlanded. But he is connected to the deity, like a representative of the deity. To use harsh words before the deity. To wear a woolen blanket before the deity. Yeah, again, there's some.
Krishna Prabhu, what about this woolen blanket?
Yeah, I think some materials prohibited for certain reasons. So I'm not sure why here the woolen blanket, but there must be some reason, and to trace the deeper cause for this, I'm not sure. Like you're sleeping and you just got up and you're still, having your blanket around you, and then
Oh,
it's supposedly not proper.
oh
But
yeah.
I don't know if it's a synthetic blanket, maybe then it's not offense. I'm not sure.
Yeah, what about the woolen clothes? So when you are in winter, we always wear woolen clothes, and then because it's too cold, it's okay for the deities.
I think it's okay. I don't think the wool in itself is forbidden. Here it says woolen blanket. Wool is, if it's clean, like any other material, clothes that are woolen but clean, they're also okay. Just you should not be dirty and contaminated state in front of the deity. That's all, regardless of the
Yeah,
material.
some devotees said the wood is the most how to say, most purified clothing material.
Yeah, the silk and the wool, they are considered the cleanest materials. The wool you can just put on the sun, I think, even without washing in the water, unless it's very very dirty, and then it will get clean just by being in the sun. So wool and the silk. Cotton, you wear it once, it becomes contaminated. Jute, little less, but the wool and the silk, they are kind of the best.
Yeah.
Okay, to blaspheme someone before the deity, again, you're criticizing, praising, or blaspheming, the same thing. It should be avoided. To worship someone else before the deity, use vulgar language before the deity, cursing and saying bad words. That's offense. To pass air before the deity, to avoid very opulent worship of the deity, even though one is able to perform it. Yeah, this is referring to a rich man who has a lot of money, but he's very miserly and he doesn't want to spend it, and he just offers one apple to the deity, although he could offer whole feast. Then it's an offense. But if you don't really have means, Krishna will accept whatever little you have, be it leaf, fruit, or flower. But if you have more, you should offer more. It's not that you are eating very opulently and you're offering to the deity only dry chickpeas. No, whatever you want to eat, deity should get the same or better.
Prabhu, I'm a little confused by that. It says to avoid very opulent worship of the deities, even though one
Yeah,
is
to
able to.
avoid.
Isn't that contrary to what we just said? That then if you can give opulent service, then you should, no?
Yeah, if you can, you should. But here it says you
To
can, but
avoid
you're not doing it. You can. You're able to perform very opulent. You have means, you have money,
Oh,
but you're avoiding it.
I misread that. I said I thought it says to avoid all very opulent, even though you may be able to do it.
Yeah, I think it's written clearly. You have means, but you're avoiding it to save money.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. It took
Okay,
me by
why? Why to eat something not offered to the deity? Yeah, this is offense to eat boga, basically. You have your own deities, and then something you offer, but something you eat unoffered. That means, you're worshiping your own stomach and your own tongue instead of giving these things to the deities first. Some devotees, they have a rule before they finish their Shila Puja, whether it's a Shalagran Shila or Gordon Puja, they don't eat, they don't drink. And then whatever they eat or drink during the day, it has to be offered to their Shalagran Shila.
Hare Krishna
So,
Prabhuji, I have a question.
please.
To eat unoffered food, it's like noodles and these things you can't offer to the deities. and you want to eat, how you do that?
Well,
Like-
depends what your standards are. The noodles and pasta,
Yes.
factory made, might not be offerable in the temple settings to the temple deities, but in the home temple to the home deities, I don't see a big problem, and I think it's still better to offer it than to eat it unofferable. So even if you even if you're in a doubt, I think this is a rule not to eat boga is more important than the quality of the ingredients you're offering it. And you
Okay,
see,
and
in the Mayapur, when there are feasts and they serve, in the big kitchens, they serve pasta that is, they don't make pasta, they buy pasta. And they have some kitchen deities, Jagannath, Subhadra, or whatever they have, and they offer this pasta to these deities, and then they serve this pasta. So who is going to make pasta? It's too much, So
oh,
I think
yeah.
it can be
And-
offered to the home deities. Yeah.
Yeah, and what about some say, yeah, you can offer it to the guru instead of offering it to the deities?
Well, the thing is that the guru is a devotee, and you don't want to give him a boga to eat. You want first to offer whatever you have to the deity, and then as prasadam, give it to guru, not directly to guru, because then you're making your guru eating boga. You don't want it. He's a devotee and he wants to eat prasadam. And if you don't tell him, oh, Gurudev, if you tell him, Gurudev, this is boga, I'm offering to you, you will offer in your mind to Krishna. No, this is not correct. Whatever you're offering to your guru or sadhu or whomever, whoever the devotee is, it should be prasadam. So you make sure that it's first offered to the deity. I know in the past, yes.
Yeah, but I have heard that, but like you can't offer things what the deity is not accepting. So then how you can offer it to the deities and how it becomes prasadam? That I can't understand. Like you are not able, you are not allowed to offer pasta or soya or soya beans, something like this. So then how the deity is not accepting it, then how it will become prasadam?
I already explained that these things to the home deities you can offer if it's not unless you have a very high temple standards. So soya pasta, why not? Better to offer to the home deities than to eat boga or make your guru eat boga. He doesn't want to eat boga. He wants to eat prasadam. Some devotees, they are just offered to Srila Prabhupada, to the Murti of Prabhupada. But definitely to the living guru.
So
Yeah, because Prabhupada has lower standards or what? And our home deities, they have very high standards. Gauritas are also very merciful. Jagannath, Subhadra, they will accept. Even if you don't want to offer to Radha Krishna, you can offer, or Shaladram Shila, you can offer it, to Jagannath, Subhadra, to Gauritai. Depends on your home standard of worship. All these things, soya, pasta, whatever it is. But you want to give to the devotees prasadam. You don't want to give them boga without even telling them. I know in the past, I remember there were some charyas in the charya times, gurus, and then devotees, they were reasoning, well, we should offer everything to Guru first, and then he will, in his mind, he will offer to Krishna. No need to offer anything with altar. So they were feeding their Guru, with a boga feast, and he was eating without even knowing it was a boga feast. And then what happened after some years, the Guru left, because they were just feeding him boga all the time. No, it should not be done. It must be prasadam. So it means first needs to be offered, whether it's a temple altar or it's a home altar, or even picture altar. If you cannot offer to the deity, at least offer it to the picture altar. In some way or other, it should be offered to Krishna and should be accepted by Krishna for us to eat it. We don't want to eat boga. So whatever your worship standard is, offer respective ingredients to the respective deities, whether it's a Gornita, Jagannath Subhadra, Prabhupada Murti, or a picture altar, but should be offered. Is it okay, Mataji?
Prabhu,
Yes,
you
Prabhu.
mean that
I have also
first should offer to the
Chaitra
deities,
Mataji.
not guru, yeah?
Sorry,
I
sister,
have
let's first let Subhadra Mataji finish, but then I'll speak. Yes, Subhadra Mataji.
I have at home marble deities of Radha Shyam Sundar, and I have Panchatattva.
Okay.
So for me, what's the problem? Like, I have learned that, yeah, you have to offer to Guru. So now I know that you have to offer it, but then I can offer it to Panchatattva.
Yeah, you can offer to Panchatattva. Yeah, the Radha
Okay.
Krishna. I mean, yeah, at least offer it to Panchatattva. I don't think, even home Radha Krishna would consider it offensive that you offer them pasta. I mean, that pasta you cooked, okay, it was pre-made in a factory, but sometimes there is a pre-boiled rice also, and the what is offering, although it's strictly speaking not offerable to the deity, but this is a different standards of worship. So you have to set up your own standard, how high you want to go. And I don't think the deities will mind whether they're Radha Krishna or Gornitai or Panchatattva. When you set the standards, you follow the standards, how high you want to go, In Jagan Puri temple, they have very high standards, but they have, 50, 100 pandas serving these deities. And your home deities, it's only you. So you cannot set too high standards.
Yeah.
So yeah, just use your discrimination to set up whatever standards you want for whatever deities you want, but just don't give anybody boga to the guru or devotees. It should be offered to some sort of deity. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Prabhu, just
Chatur
add
Mataji?
that.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Yes.
I understand now. First, we must offer to the deities, not guru. Yeah. Sometimes
Yes, correct.
sometimes some senior devotees told us that you just offer to the guru, then everything you can eat. So a little bit confused before, but now it's clear now.
Yeah, but they thought, you offer to the guru in the picture, and then guru in the picture, he will offer to Guru Parampara, and then Guru Parampara will offer to Krishna. But it's not that you come to the live person, a guru, and then you just give him boga, and then he now has to think whether it's prasad or boga. Should he offer it? And in this way, we want to engage guru in our service. No, we want to offer guru prasad. We want to eat all the prasad.
That means
Okay.
from Krishna to Guru, not Guru to Krishna, yeah?
Krishna is the one who is tasting first. The guru, according to one conception of deity worship, guru is just, not eating it first. He's just offering it. He's doing the worship or puja. But Krishna is the one who is eating it first. So it should be offered to Krishna. So whether we offer it, directly to Krishna or through Guru or Guru Parampara, it goes to Krishna. So it should be offered to Krishna. So depending how do you understand it? It just depends how you understand it. But the Krishna is one who is eating it first, and then Radharani, and then goes to the Panchatattva, to Lord Chaitanya, and back to the Guru Parampara, to Guru. And then
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shailesh Prabhu, you had something.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Prabhu, I still have some question I haven't finished. And
Okay.
what about the food durian? You mean in in Thailand, in Malaysia, there are many this fruit durian. D-U-R-I-A-N.
D-U-E.
Yeah, D-U-R-I-A-N. A yellow fruit, a little bit sweet, but sometimes the smell is not so good. Maybe someone does not like it. D-U-R-I-A-N. Yeah.
D-U-E-E-R. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that fruit. I know dragon fruit, but this is not dragon fruit. It's something
Dragon
different.
fruit is in China. Long
Okay.
yan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I don't know that fruit, but I mean, if it's a vegetarian, if it's a fruit, and some
then
people like it, some don't like
you
it.
you see the check box. I have put it
Okay.
in the chat.
Okay, I'll have a look because I'm sharing the screen. It's difficult for me to see the chat. I'll see it later. Anyway,
Yeah.
the point is, if it's a fruit, if it's a vegetarian, it's a God-made fruit. It's offerable to Krishna, to the deity. Krishna eats so many things, so why not some fruit that he created? Although some people don't like it, said don't give this to these people who don't like it, but you can still offer it. If it's a fruit, it's a vegetarian. It's not meat, fish, and eggs, and not the
Yeah.
mushrooms, even onion and garlic.
Yeah.
It belongs to category of the food that is offerable. If it's a fruit, regardless of kind of fruit, might not be the best fruit. Mangoes is sometimes considered, the best fruit, but there's so many varieties of fruit that we even don't know about it. But fruit
So
is offerable. Yeah.
yeah, please check and then tell me. This durian
Okay.
is
Okay.
a
I will have to.
tropical fruit, and
Okay.
also what about the cow? Cow, that means the plants in the sea. Black.
Kelp. Okay. Let me just see the photo of the fruit. I'll shoot durian
And
fruit. How?
what? Yeah. What about
Ah,
chocolate?
So
let me see.
can I
Just
add
1
something
second.
here for a second?
Yes, please.
We could be ending up spending 2 hours on this discussion otherwise. I think the principle is more important than the detail here, as you rightly say, Prabhu. And the principle should be that
Yeah.
This
we're
this
doing
one.
things to please Krishna.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, to please Krishna.
Yeah,
Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Krishna will
yeah,
accept.
he accepts our intention. If our intention is to please him,
Yeah.
and then he accepts the intention, not the detail. And I think we can get stuck in the detail sometimes
Yeah.
without actually having purity. And the process is that before we offer something to the deity, we ask our guru's permission, because we're not qualified to offer. So that's where people get mixed up. We're not supposed to offer it to the guru, but we're supposed to be asking the guru's permission and assistance to help offer. So we're asking them to help us offer on their behalf to the deities. So it's not that we're
Correct.
offering to the guru, we're asking their permission to offer to the deity. And anything, if we offer with love and devotion to please Krishna, not to please ourselves and our own senses, then he accepts. Now, clearly there are guidance as to what you can and can't offer. There are things that are vegetarian and eatable within the confines of what we can offer, then it should be offered. But things like pasta, etc., if we're cooking it, then actually the karma has been transformed anyway. If we actually cook the item, then the item has become, it's ready cooked stuff like ready-made breads and ready-made things that are going straight on the altar, which can sometimes be avoided. But even then, I think, as you rightly say, if we are intending to eat it and if we can't offer it to Krishna, we shouldn't be eating it. So it is the principle that it is better to offer it. We brought up our children, even if they're opening a packet of crisps at school, they should offer it in their mind to the Lord first to say, please accept this before we eat it. And maybe please make sure that we only eat your prasadam, dear Lord. So whatever we eat is, whatever circumstances is, it is our intention to please the Lord first before pleasing our stomachs. So I think that principle is more important than the detail, bro.
Yes, correct, correct, Prabhu. Even if you,
Yeah, what you say is right, but sometimes some new devotees, they come and ask us these questions. We cannot answer them.
yeah, Mataji, regarding this fruit that you said, to me it looks perfectly offerable. It looks a little bit like a jackfruit. I think it's perfectly offerable. And kelp also, it's a seaweed or whatever it is. I think it's also perfectly offerable. So you can tell them that they can offer it. Better to offer it than to eat it non-offered.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah, and then what about the chocolate? Chocolate.
chocolate. Oh gosh, this is again another controversy. Prabhupada said this and that, and then GBC made some resolution. There is no resolution. I don't want to go into this. I know some devotees eat, some are very strict that they don't eat. So it's up to you whether you want. They
Then,
some devotees who do not eat, they say that cocoa is. It has some taint. It has some sort of substance that is little kind of addictive, and that's why like a green tea or this or that. That's why one should not. But then again, there are many gurus who just eat chocolate because it's not so strict. And Prabhupada also was not very particular on this. So it's up to you.
Prabhupada
Definitely,
actually
it's
made
not.
chocolate and offered it. I think the problem was that the devotees were getting carried away, buying lots of ready-made chocolate and offering straight on the altar. But Prabhupada has actually
Yeah.
made chocolate in his own kitchen and offered to the deities. So I think it's not again, it went back to the intention. The intention had been diluted by the devotees where they were effectively because they wanted to eat chocolate, were offering bars directly bought from the market straight onto the altar.
Yeah.
Which is what we wanted to avoid, I think. So people need to have a higher level of consciousness in these things.
Yeah, correct, Prabhu. So it's up to you, Mataji, whether you want to offer chocolate or not, whether you want to make your own chocolate or just, whatever you do, it's better to eat offered food. If you cannot offer, to at least to the photo of Prabhupada Murti, if you say, oh, Prabhupada eats chocolate, maybe he will accept the chocolate. Some people just offer by saying Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. This is even bad. Again, not the best, but better than nothing. And there are some things, some people, some devotees, they go so much into detail because, if you go in Hari Bhakti Vilas, there you will find, for example, that eggplant, it comes from the bones of a cows and should not be offered this and that. And some devotees, especially, in Sri Vaishnavas or Ramanuja Sampradaya, they say, no, eggplant cannot be eaten. And if you invite me for lunch, don't prepare eggplant. Also the carrots, especially the red carrots. Also, there is some story in Purana that these carrots also come from some flesh of the animal, this and that. But we see the Prabhupada, he liked eggplants and he ate carrots also, Gajar Harava. So if you want to be very strict, you can find so many, rules and regulations, even for the fruit and vegetables. So it depends on you, how much rules you want to use. You can make thousands of rules and regulations, but the basic principle, it should be vegetarian food, and then it should be cooked by yourself, by devotee. But even if sometimes not possible, there are examples when Prabhupada was invited by some live members for the house programs, and they were not devotees, but there were some pious Indians, and they cooked something, and then Prabhupada came there with disciples, and the disciples, they looked at Prabhupada, what should we do now? Because this is not over. Prabhupada just told them, just eat, because he didn't want to offend the hosts. So in such situations, you offer in your mind or something like that. I should be vegetarian, of course. But time, place, circumstances. One has to have a little discrimination and to use a little bit of his own intelligence and to know the principles, as Shailesh Prabhu said, and not to get entangled too much into details.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I hope we are finished with the food stuff. Let's proceed. Otherwise, I'll finish Okay, he said, okay, to avoid offering fresh fruits to the deity according to the season. So when it's a mango season, you offer mangoes. When it's a jackfruit season, you offer jackfruit. Papaya, you offer papaya, and things like this. It's not that you are buying, some fruit imported from South America in the supermarket, and you're offering only that fruit. Okay, to offer food to the deity which has already been used or from which has first been given to others. In other words, food should not be distributed to anyone else until it has been offered to the deity. So you don't want to give to the deity a remnants of something that has been already eaten or offered to somebody. And sometimes you see a fruit, and in a fruit there is some hole. It looks like the bird was picking and eating it. Somebody else was eating it first. So it should be something that nobody else ate or tried before. Okay, BB, to sit with one's back toward the deity. Again, you're kind of ignoring the deity by showing just your back. So at least you turn a little bit sideways. Sometimes when the temple room is full, it's difficult, but at least a little bit sideways, that you're not completely 180 degrees away from the deity. To offer obeisances to someone else in front of the deity. Sometimes, devotees, as soon as they see sannyasi in the temple room, they're offering him obeisances, touching his foot, but it should not be done actually. In front of the deity in temple room, you don't offer obeisances, even to sannyasi. Wait for him to go outside, and then you run after him if you want to really offer him obeisances. And it's not that every time you have to fall on the ground. You can just fold your hands. This is also Anjali. It's also offering respects, or bow down your head. It's not that always you need.
What about to Srila Prabhupada though? We always pay obeisance to Srila Prabhupada when entering temple room.
Yeah, the Srila Prabhupada is in the special category. He's a founder Acharya, and it's a deity of Prabhupada also. So he comes to this category of the deity. So we should definitely offer to
And one's
Prabhupada.
guru when the guru enters in the temple room.
I think guru can also be put in exclusion a special category, that it can be offered obeisances, because guru is a kind of part of Krishna's family. So I think it's okay. If the guru is there in the temple room, you can offer obeisances. Not to chant proper prayers when offering obeisance to the spiritual master. So that means we should know the pranam mantra of our guru, and then just pronounce the pranam mantra when you're offering obeisances. But even if by some chance you forget, you chant Hare Krishna, it will be accepted. To praise oneself before the deity, that's boasting about yourself. You are in the center, not the deity. To blaspheme the demigods. This is demigods. They are the representatives of the Lord, of the deity. So you are blaspheming the representatives like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Indra. If you're blaspheming them, Krishna is not pleased. He's not satisfied. We don't worship them, but we don't disrespect them. We respect them, but we know that they're servants of the Lord. So it's like blaspheming other devotees. It's a Vaishnava aparat, Deva aparat, Devata aparat. So in the worship of the deity, these 32 offenses should be avoided. So these are general 32 offenses that are listed. I think also in Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada gives these 32 offenses, and they are copied. I don't know whether in the same form or a little different form here. And now there are additional from Varaha Purana. So if you search Puranas, you will find much, much more things and more details and more rules and more regulations. So we have to balance where we want to stop and how far we want to go. Okay, additional offenses. To eat in the house of a rich man. Well, Anybody could guess why this would be offense to eat in the house of a rich man? I would say this, Prabhupada ate in a house of a live member. So I would say if somebody is not a devotee and he's a rich and you just go to him to get some material favors from him and you eat boga that he's offering you, then it's offense. In sort of this way, somehow it makes sense. Otherwise, just, eating in a house of a rich man, that means basically eating not offered food. To enter the deity's room in the dark, yeah, that's why when Pujari enters the altar, he first switches the light on, because in the darkness, you are not, you are like a thief, you are coming to somebody's private place without saying, I'm here. You are just, sneaking in. So it should not be done. You have to ring the bell to switch on the light. To worship the deity without following the regulative principles. This means the regulative principles in the deity worship. You ignore the principles and you concoct your way of worship. You do whatever you want. You offer however you want, and this is this is also offense, not to follow the rules prescribed for the worship of the deity. D, to enter the temple without vibrating any sound. That means that you are announcing that I'm here, Krishna, I'm here. Otherwise, you're entering without making any sound. That means that you're not letting the Lord know that you're coming. Well, sometimes the bell in the entrance in Panchatattva temple in Mayapur, they remove the bell because non-stop, 24/7, the bell, the thousands of people coming in, they were banging the bell, and it was becoming such annoyance, and it was creating the queues and the lines, so they had to remove the bell. But you can always chant Hare Krishna. You can vibrate Hare Krishna while you're entering, or whatever other sound you want to make. You don't need to bang a bell. To collect food that has been seen by dog. So dog is generally considered kind of dirty animal, and whenever he sees a food, he's contemplating about eating it. So he's contaminating the food, but just by his glance. So that's why the food, before it's carried to the altar to be offered to the deities, it's covered by cloth. Not only dog, even humans, they can contemplate eating the boga if you carry it in front of them open. So that's why it should be covered. To break silence while offering worship to the deity means that you're talking to somebody, you're waving chamara or offering incense or flower, and you're talking. That means that you're not really paying attention to the worship. But you can sing Mahamantra or whatever the Arati song is going on. That's not considered offense. And sometimes, especially in the Western temples, there's nobody to sing an Arati while the Pujari is doing the Arati ceremony. So he can sing himself. Of course, he can also have a record play to the loudspeakers. To go to the toilet during the time of worshiping the deity means you're interrupting the worship and then you go to the toilet. That's offense. To offer incense without offering flowers. So incense and flowers, they always go together. If you offer one, you have to offer another. To worship the deity with forbidden flowers. Forbidden flowers, those who don't have any scent. So when we pick up flowers for the deity, we should make sure that there is some scent. Otherwise, there are some flowers with practically no scent. These are useless flowers, impious, these flowers. It has to be, fragrant, at least a little bit fragrant. The most simple ones are marigolds. They have some fragrance.
Probably here in the
To
West, we
begin,
unfortunately get majority of the flowers are not scented. Majority of the flowers, so
oh really?
presumably we have to offer at least for the sake of offering flowers, because we can't necessarily get scented ones here. So does
Yeah.
the process of offering for beautifying the lordships not count?
Yeah, I think this is different. For beautifying, even if they're not, I think here it means during the arati ceremony, when you're offering that on a plate, a couple of flowers, at least one rose. But for beautifying, it could be any kind of colorful flowers without even any scent. That's okay. And of course, if you cannot find any fragrant flowers, the situation is such. What can you do? I mean, you just offer whatever
Should
flowers
we
you
add
have.
fragrance to it artificially, or does that not, that defeats the object?
I think I heard that what you're doing, that's okay if you have some natural fragrance, a little spray it or put some essential oil. Why not? I don't think that Krishna will mind if you add little nice fragrance. If it really doesn't have any natural fragrance. Okay, to begin worship without having washed one's teeth, that means after eating, your mouth is still dirty. To begin worship after sex means one is in contaminated state after engaging in this act. So he should be fully bathed, and preferably, should not do it on the same day when he's doing the worship. To touch a lamp, dead body, or a woman during her menstrual period. Touch a lamp. I'm not sure what this means, because lamp, maybe it's burning and then there's this black stuff that is making you contaminated. Dead body is naturally contaminated, and there is a rule, if somebody dies in a family, for if he's from Brahmana community for 3 days, he cannot go to the temple. From some other community for that many days. These are some smarter rules that are followed, but at least after touching a dead body, one should take a bath. Or a woman during her menstrual period, because women during menstrual period, there is, blood, and then she's considered contaminated, and then if you touch, you also become contaminated, so you have to take bath, things like that. Or to put a red or bluish clothing. I'm not sure why these two colors are not prescribed, but there is some rule. So if we can,
In
we
Dwarka
can.
temple, the pujaris
Yeah.
actually put
I
on
think passion and
very
ignorance.
colorful red silk dhotis, etc. It's strange. They actually wear very bright red and very yellow and very colorful silk.
Yeah. Yes, I've seen also, for doing yajnas also. So why not? Mataji Subhadra, you had something to say
Yes,
on this?
I did red is for passion and blue is for ignorance. I think that's the reason. That's what I have heard.
Okay. Okay, some reason, passion. Yeah, you become, if you wear two, like a fiery red, you become in Rajaguna, and then you're also doing a passionate worship. But I guess these rules are not always very strictly followed, even in traditional temples, like in Dwaraka, as Shailesh Prabhu said. Bluish Lord Balaram, he wears blue dhoti. Unwashed clothing, well, this is common sense. It's not clean. The clothing of others, it's supposed to be your own clothes, but sometimes, you're a guest in some temple, you don't have your own dhoti, so you borrow dhoti from another devotee. But if it's clean dhoti, I think it's okay. Soiled clothing. If you go to the Gaudiya Math temple, sometimes you see, pujaris They have quite old deities that are quite soiled and sometimes even have holes, but they're still doing the worship. The main principle, you have to do the worship. And so if you don't have new deity, what can you do? You do it even in a soiled deity. Other offense is to worship the deity after seeing a dead body. So even just by seeing a dead body, procession goes on the street, and you see a dead body lying on a palanquin, you get some subtle contamination. To pass air before the deity, to show anger before the deity, and to worship the deity just after returning from a crematorium. After eating, one should not worship the deity until one has digested his food. So that means if you're a pujari and you're doing 4 o'clock offering, so you want to eat, early. You don't want to have your lunch 3 or 3:30 just before going to the altar. You want to eat at 1 o'clock. Nor should one touch the deity or engage in any deity worship after eating safflower oil or hing. For hing, I know it's kind of very strong smell is there. And safflower oil, I'm not sure. Anybody has any experience with this safflower oil, how it is? Why it's mentioned here? I mean, it's a kind of cheap variety
Probably
of
says
oil.
safflower, which is different to sunflower. Safflower is quite potent.
Oh, okay. Safflower, yeah, it's different from sunflower.
Yeah,
So
safflower.
safflower is
Pointed it out. It's different and it's a more pungent oil.
more pungent. Okay, could be because of strong smell. That could be the reason. But what I know about safflower, it's kind of cheap oil, and it's generally it's a refined processed oil that is unhealthy, like any other processed unhealthy oils. Of course, in many temples today, for the large prasadam distribution, they use these cheap processed refined oils, hydrogenated oils. Just recently, one Prabhupada disciple asked me about it, what is being used in Mayapur kitchens. And I told him, you can bet that they're using these refined hydrogenated oils that are actually harmful to health. But, they're thinking in terms of how much they will spend, Cold pressed oils, they cost more, and then that will decrease the profit if you use a coconut oil, or if you use a ghee or cold pressed sunflower oil. But at least at home, if we are cooking at home for the deity and we care about the health, at least we should avoid all these hydrogenated, refined, processed oils that are cheap but harmful. It should be cold pressed oil, or a coconut oil. Coconut oil is generally completely fine. Okay, these are also offenses. I think we finished, but here there's some additional offenses, even more offenses. So in other places, probably collecting it from different sources, the following offenses are listed: to be against the scriptural injunctions of the Vedic literature, or to disrespect within one's heart the Srimad Bhagavatam by externally falsely accepting its principles. Yeah, this means dishonesty. You are presenting yourself as a devotee, as a religious man, as a spiritual person, but you think this Bhagavad and this is mythology, and you're against it actually. So this is demoniac tendency, and it's definitely offensive. To introduce differing shastras means you introduce some sort of scriptures that contradict the Bhagavatam and Vedic shastras. You introduce some Buddhist philosophy or some Nyaya or God knows what, which is different, has different conclusions. To chew pan and battle before the deity. Pan and battle are generally chewed for making your mouth fragrant and they're slightly intoxicating, but it's quite common, for people, non-devotee people in India, they chew this pen and battle. You can see they spit them everywhere, and their teeth become very red. So this is injunction for them that they should not go in the temple by chewing pen and battle. Krishna, he chews pen and battle, but he is the supreme enjoyer. He can do it, but we should not be doing it. Unless it's a Mahaprasad left over from the deity, then you can take it. To keep flowers for worship on the leaf of a castor oil plant. I have no idea why is this here. Castor oil plant. I'm not sure even to know this plant, but must be that this plant in some way or other is contaminating these flowers. Castor oil plant. If anybody knows, please say. To worship the deity in the afternoon. What this means? We worship the deity. There is 4 o'clock. There is the afternoon offering and the puja. So that cannot mean that. So afternoon would mean here immediately after Rajbhog, 1 o'clock, when deity goes to sleep. That would mean this, 1 o'clock afternoon. F, to sit on the altar or to sit on the floor to worship the deity without the seat. So always some kusha, grass, asana should be there on the altar when you sit to worship, or you can also worship standing, but also you're supposed to have that, the pad to stand on, not to stand on a bare floor. Some small cushion. To touch the deity with the left hand while bathing the deity. Well, sometimes this is difficult if you have a shila, and in one hand you have to hold the shila, so you hold it in your right hand, and then with the left hand you pour the water, and then if you need to touch the deity to carry him, you can use some cloth and don't touch it directly with your left hand, but use the cloth between your left hand and the deity. Left hand is considered unclean because it's used for washing after the toilet, and right hand is used for worship of the deity, for eating and things like this, for clean things. Yeah, but sometimes you have some people who are left-handed, and for them it's more difficult, but still they have to learn. To touch the deity with the left hand while bathing to worship the deity with the stale or used flour. Yeah, the flour should be kind of fresh, not some old flour that you found somewhere, if possible. To spit while worshiping the deity is obvious. To advertise one's glory while worshiping the deity. To apply tilak to one's forehead in a curved way. This means to some, concocted tilak. Tilak should be straight, 2 lines going up. Well, in Sri Sampradaya, just recently, we had the Ratha Yatra here, and there was one devotee who was previously in ISKCON, but his guru, he passed away. So he took initiation in Sri Sampradaya, and he has this broad, curved Sri Sampradaya tilak, very, very broad, but it's narrow at the nose point, and then it goes splits away. So I don't think this is improper, because Sri Sampradaya, they know what they're doing it. So curved way means, just curved. To enter the temple without having washed one's feet. Yeah, that means with the dirty feet. But nowadays At least I can say for Mayapur, I don't see many people washing, maybe 1 in 100 washing their feet before entering the temple. But maybe because they have shoes before entering and they just leave the shoes, and their feet are kind of more or less clean. Those who come barefoot, they should wash definitely. To offer the deity food cooked by an uninitiated person. Again, this is very, again, higher standard. It used to be like this in previous decades when ISKCON was very strict, and still in many temples, this is still the rule that cook should be Brahman initiated, not only initiated, but even Brahman initiated. But in some temples, due to lack of devotees, they allow even first initiated to cook, or if there is nobody else, they would allow even not initiated devotee to cook. So the first principle is the deity should get offering. So if you cannot find Brahman or initiated cook, at least get some devotee cook. It's better than not offering anything. So one has to be flexible by understanding and applying these rules, to understand what has higher priority. To worship the deity and offer bhoga to the deity within the vision of uninitiated person or non-Vaishnava. Here it's assumed that this uninitiated person is a non-devotee, and then when he sees that you're doing the worship, he will criticize in his mind, or when he sees the bhoga, he will contemplate eating it. But I don't think it's offense to worship the deity in front of the devotee who is not initiated. It's not definitely offense, because it's a devotee. Just that he hasn't received formal initiation doesn't mean much. But previously, in the past, usually, as soon as one would come and start practicing, he would be immediately initiated. So that's why everybody who was not initiated, he was considered non-devotee. But nowadays, we have people who are being devotees for years, and they're still not initiated. So that doesn't mean that they're not devotees. So to offer worship to the deity without worshipping Vaikuntha deities like Ganesh. Again, this is some very, very obscure rule from some scripture, and I don't think any ISKCON temple follows this, worshipping Ganesh. Yeah, I don't think that we really need to follow this rule, although it's listed there. To worship the deity while perspiring. What if it's hot and you don't have AC on the altar, and you cannot stop perspiring? So what you're going to do? You're going to drop the deity worship and just go home? No, you continue worshiping. It's a higher principle. But you try not to perspire how much you can try. It's an involuntary action. To refuse flowers offered to the deity. Yeah, when somebody is carrying around a flower and that is Mahaprasad offers, you should take at least one and put it on your head and smell it. To take a vow or oath in the holy name of the Lord. Like you say, I swear in the holy name of Krishna, I will punish you, or things like this. We should not swear in the holy name of the Lord. Okay, I think we almost came. Still only half an hour. Yes, please.
It seems very unlike Prabhupada to have gone through so many Puranas. I mean, a lot of these things, like Ganesh Puja, for instance, and things like that, we don't do in ISKCON temples, etc. Which I'm just surprised that Prabhupada is listed so extensively, so many rules and regulations, whilst actually we in Gaudiya Vaishnava sampradaya are actually trying to aim towards the higher principle of the Vedas as opposed to the letter of the Vedas, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that Prabhupada, he just copied from some Acharya commentaries. I haven't looked at which one other Acharya's commentary for this particular verse, but I think he's just presenting what some other Acharya in the past few hundred years ago commented. So Prabhupada, just for the sake of following, he wants to give a list, but he has confidence that our judgment will be proper, that we will be able to distinguish what is really necessary, what is not that important. He is teaching us, to have some critical thinking, not to accept, every word as some must, not to accept every rule as absolute. I think he's just following. I don't think he was collecting himself from Puranas here and there, but that he's using some Acharya that was commenting it. Later, when we scroll, we'll see what Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur comments on this. Still, there is quite a lot. I don't want to go too much down. Okay, so now I think we can continue reading. Anybody would like to read now a little bit? Dhanashri Mataji is here. I haven't heard her. Dhanashri Mataji, would you like to read a little bit from this passage if one commits? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Dhanashri Mataji?
Yeah, yes, I will. So I read the text.
Please.
Which is,
Yeah,
okay.
please. If one commits, from here.
Okay. Vaikunta.
No, here. If one commits.
If one commits any of the above offenses, one must read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is confirmed in Standa Purana, Avanti Kanda. Similarly, here is another injunction stating that one who reads the 1,000 names of Vishnu can be released from all offenses. In the same Skanda Purana, Riva Kanda, it is said that one who recites prayers to Tulasi or sows Tulasi seed is also freed from all offenses. Similarly, one who worships the Shalagam Shila can also be relieved of offenses. In the Brahmanda Purana, it is said that one who worships Lord Vishnu, whose 4 hands bear a conch shell, disc, lotus flower, and club, can be relieved from the above offenses. In the Adi Varaha Purana, it is said that a worshipper who has committed offenses may last for 1 day at may fast for 1 day at the holy place known as Sokarava, and then bathe in the Ganges.
Okay, just one moment here. So here there are different, is described different sort of atonements, how to get excused if you commit these offenses. So it's obviously not just one thing. One can do many different things. Read the Bhagavad Gita chapter, Vishnu Sahasranam. Vishnu Sahasranam could take a long time to read, or recite prayer to Tulsi, or do other things. But also chanting the holy name is automatically, relieves one from the offenses. So we don't need really, to contemplate much. If we are chanting regularly Maha Mantra, and unintentionally we commit some offense, it will be excused just by our chanting. We don't need to do some separate, procedures. But if you really notice that you did some big grave offense, then you can do something extra if you desire so. But definitely one should not commit any of these offenses intentionally. Okay, Mataji, please continue.
In the process of worshipping the deity, it is sometimes enjoined that one worships the deity within the mind. In the Padma Purana, Uttarakanda, it is said all persons can generally worship within the mind. The Gautamya Tantra states, for a sannyas who has no home, worship of the deity within the mind is recommended. In the Narada Purana, in the Narada Pancharatra, it is stated by Lord Narayana that worship of the deity within the mind is called Manasa Puja. One can become free from the four miseries by this method. Sometimes worship from the mind can be independently executed. According to the instruction of Avivotra Muni, one of the Nava Yogendras, as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, one may worship the deity by chanting all the mantras. 8 kinds of deities are mentioned in the Shastra, and the mental deity is one of them. In this regard, the following description is given in the Bhagavata Vicara.
Just 1 second here. So the Manasa Puja, sometimes it's said that before going on the altar, one should first do the Manasa Puja. Pujari is supposed to sit and do Bhutta Shuddhi meditation and meditate in the mind about the worship. But hardly anybody that I know is doing this. What is easier, to worship the deity in a physical form or to worship the deity in the mind? What do you think? What is easier?
It's easier to visualize.
Form.
Sorry.
In the physical form, I think.
Okay, so what the Mataji said, physical, and what Dhanashi
No,
Mataji said?
I was saying that when you visualize, you do it in your mind. It seemed to me it's easier. It goes faster also.
So both can be true. Why is it easier to worship in the mind? Because in the mind, you can collect any sort of ingredients, imagine, visualize so many things, and then it's kind of you can say you whatever you need, the best fragrant flowers you can imagine, and the best cooked bola, this and that. But that's easier for person whose mind is peaceful and controlled and who can sit and very patiently meditate and go through all the steps. But Kali Yuga people, even in devotees in Kali Yuga, the minds are generally very restless and very disturbed. And you sit to do Manasa Puja, you're carried away thinking about God knows what. And then where's the question of puja? You start, remembering what somebody told you 3 days ago, this days ago. And then in that sense, it's more difficult. So depends on the person. If the mind is very peaceful and steady, then yeah. Otherwise, better stick to the physical worship, because then you cannot miss it. Even if the mind is distracted, you're doing it with the physical body. You see the deity in front of you, you touch the deity, and then you cannot space it out as much as you can do in Manasa Puja. Okay, now we have a story here. I'm going to continue reading the story.
In the city, no, the deity, the story starts that in the city of Pratistana, Pura, long ago, there resided a Brahmana who was poverty-stricken in an assembly of Brahmanas concerning how to worship the deity in the temple. In that meeting, he also heard that the deity may worship.
I think you skipped one line. There studied a Brahmana who was poverty-stricken but innocent and dissatisfied. Then you skipped one day. You read one day.
Oh, I have to go up a little bit.
Yeah. One day. Start from that sentence.
Okay, one day he heard a discourse in an assembly of Brahmanas concerning how to worship the deity in the temple. In that meeting, he also heard that the deity may be worshipped within the mind. After this incident, the Brahmana, having bathed in the Godavari river, began mentally worshipping the deity. He would wash the temple within the mind, and then, in his imagination, he would bring water from all the sacred rivers in golden and silver water pots. He collected all kinds of valuable paraphernalia for worship, and he worshipped the deity very gorgeously, beginning from bathing the deity and ending with offering arati. Thus, he felt great happiness. After many years had passed in this way, one day within his mind, he cooked nice sweet rice with ghee to worship the deity. He placed the sweet rice in a golden dish and offered it to Lord Krishna. But he felt that the sweet rice was very hot, and therefore he touched it with his finger. He immediately felt that this finger had been burned by the hot, sweet rice, and thus he began to lament. While the Brahmana was in pain, Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha began smiling, and the goddess of fortune inquired from the Lord why he was smiling. Lord Vishnu then ordered his associate to bring the Brahmana to Vaikuntha. Thus, the Brahmana attained the liberation of Sampya, the facility of living near the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So the Brahmana obviously had very, very peaceful mind, so he could do it year after year. You know,
Yes.
probably meditation would take one hour or longer, and yeah, he just continued doing it, and it gave a result as he was doing it in reality. Okay, we have. Maybe we should finish. Okay, a little more. Okay, Vandanam, maybe just a couple of more.
Okay.
Let's somebody else. Let's Subhadramataji. Can you read Vandanam?
With pleasure.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Prabhuji. Vandanam. Although prayers are a part of deity worship, they may be considered separately like the other items, such as hearing and chanting, and therefore separate statements are given herewith. The Lord has unlimited transcendental qualities and opulences, and one who feels influenced by the Lord's qualities in various activities offers prayers to the Lord. In this way, he becomes successful. In this connection, the following are some of the offenses to be avoided. A, to offer obeisances on one hand. B, to offer obeisances with one's body covered. C, to show one's back to the deity. D, to offer obeisances on the left side of the deity. E, to offer obeisances very near the deity.
So here, yeah, Prabhupada is connecting these offenses in the deity worship with the Vandanam, because generally, you know, Vandanam is when you offer prayers to the deity, but you can also do Vandanam without offering prayers to the deity on the altar by offering prayers to Krishna in your mind or in your heart. That's also Vandanam. I think Akrura was the one who was given as example of devotee who attained perfection by offering prayers. Here there is one offense to offer obeisance with one's body covered. In South India, you would see if you want to enter the temple, if you're a man, then you have to take off your uttariya, your chadar, and basically have only dhoti down and your chadar wrapped around your waist, and then only you can offer obeisances. But obviously this applies only to man and cannot be applied to ladies. And also is not really strictly for us in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya also. I mean, you see devotees. Nobody's really, I know one devotee, every time when he offers obeisance to Nishikant, there he takes off his chador. He's one out of thousands that I know offer obeisances normally with being dressed. Just imagine now if everybody would start taking their kurtas off and being half naked offering obeisances, it would not be really practical. So it's not the most important detail. Okay, can you read also Dasyam, Subhadra
Yes, yes. Dashyam. There is the following statement in regard to assisting the Lord as a servant. After many, many thousands of births, when one comes to understand that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, one can deliver others from this universe. If one simply continues to think that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, even without performing anything, other process of devotion service, he can attain full success, or simply by his feeling, one can perform all 9 processes of devotion service.
So here, it means considering yourself a dasa, a servant of the Lord, acting in a consciousness of being a servant. When we get initiated, we get, the second part of the name is das or dasi. But we have actually to realize that, not only theoretically, but also to realize that we are eternal servants of Krishna. Then if we act in that consciousness of feeling ourselves as Lord's eternal servants, of being Lord's eternal servants, then you can say we are performing this dasyam process. It cannot be, artificially imitated. One has to, to progress to certain level in order to really realize that he is eternal servant of the Lord. Okay, let me see how much more we have. Okay, we can finish just 2 more. Sakyam. Anybody else would like to read this Sakyam who is more there? Shailesh Prabhu or
Yes, I can read. 8.
Yes.
In regard to worshipping the Lord as a friend, the Agastya Samhita states that a devotee engaged in performing devotional service by Shravanam and Kirtanam sometimes wants to see the Lord personally, and for this purpose he resides in the temple. Elsewhere, there is the statement, O my Lord, Supreme Personality of God, Supreme Personality and Eternal Friend, although you are full of bliss and knowledge, you have become the friend of the residents of Vrindavan. How fortunate are those devotees! In this statement, the word friend is specifically used to indicate intense love. Friendship, therefore, is better than servitude. In the stage above Dasya Rasa, the devotee accepts the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a friend. This is not at all astonishing, for when a devotee is pure in heart, the opulence of his worship of the deity diminishes as spontaneous love for the personality of Godhead is manifested. In this regard, Sridhara Swami mentions Sridhama Vipra, who expressed to himself his feelings of obligation, thinking, life after life, may I be connected with Krishna in this friendly attitude.
So again, here we have one process that cannot be artificially imitated and performed independently. One has to make a progress by Shravanam and Kirtanam and other processes, Smaranam and Archanam. And then once he realizes his eternal relationship with Krishna, if he's in Sakya Rasa, then he'll perform this process. Like Arjuna, he was Krishna's friend, or whoever else we have in the scriptures as the example, all the Krishna's friends in Vrindavan, like Sudama Vipra and others. It's not process to be performed by beginners or Vaidhi sadhakas. So we have just one more, maybe Chatura Mataji, you want to finish this one, Atmanivedanam. Chatura Mataji, you there?
Yeah, yeah. Atma Nivedanam. The word Atma Nivedanam refers to the stage at which one has no motive other than to serve the Lord, surrenders everything to the Lord, and performs his activities only to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee is like a cow that is cared for by its master. When cared for by its master, a cow is not in anxiety over its maintenance. Such a cow is always devoted to its master, and it never acts independently, but only for the master's benefit. Some devotees therefore consider dedication of the body to the Lord to be Atma Nivedana. And as stated in the book known as Bhakti Vicara, sometimes dedication of the soul to the Lord is called Atma Nivedana. The best example of Atma Nivedana are found in Bali Maharaj and Ambarisha Maharaj. Atma Nivedanam is also sometimes found in the behavior of Rumini Devi at Dwarka.
So this Atmanivedana process can be performed only by fully surrendered devotees. And examples are given. Bali Maharaj, he offered, his head for Vamanadev to step on, basically his whole body. He literally offered his body. Ambarish Maharaj, he used all his faculties, all his senses and the mind and the legs and in serving the Lord. And in this way, he's also performing the Atma Nivedana by engaging everything he has in the service of the Lord. So those who are 10%, 100% engaged in the service of the Lord, with their body, mind, and senses, and everything they have, and their wealth, they can be said to perform Atma Nivedana. Again, it's not a process for neophyte beginners or sadhakas. So in this way, yeah, we concluded. I think we should stop here. I would also need to go a few minutes earlier. Let's see just how much Vishnu Chakri Thakur. He doesn't have actually much here. Somehow Prabhupada purport was much longer. Okay, should we just read also this Vishnu Chakri Thakur's quickly? Or we have, I mean, you all have this file, and I think if you're really interested, you can read it on your own. I don't think that he says here much more than Prabhupada said in these several pages. So I'll stop here. If there are any final comments or questions, if not,
Yes, Prabhu.
yes.
I have still some small questions. Yeah, what about just now we talking about offer food to the Lord, and what about offer when we offer fruit? Sometimes some devotees suggest that we cut the fruit into pieces, and then sometimes the devotees say you don't need to cut the fruit into pieces. So what do you think about it?
Both are correct. You can cut in the pieces, Lord will accept it, and you can offer it as the whole. The Lord will accept it depending on your devotion. So there are no hard and fast rules in this. Whether you want to cut in the pieces, it's kind of a little more personal, especially in the temple when you have a time and you're preparing a fruit offering. You want to nicely cut it and prepare it as the Lord is going to eat it. You imagine what will be most suitable for Lord to eat it, with a whole fruit, and then Lord is going to cut himself and peel it and eat it, or you want to little bit prepare for him that it's easier to eat. So a little more effort is welcome if you can cut it. But if you cannot for some reason, then even if you offer whole fruit, there's no problem. So both are okay.
Yeah, I
Is that okay?
remember. I remember in Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe Canto 2, there is one verse saying that when the devotees receive the law, maybe Lord Rama coming from the forest, and they just offer food, that whole food, not cutting fruit.
Yeah, that can be done. Yeah, why not? I mean, you can offer sometimes I see the devotees offering 4 all watermelons, but if it's more convenient to cut, you can also cut. The Lord doesn't depend so much on these externals, whether you cut it or not cut it. He wants to see that, you're doing it with a little love, respect, devotion. Whether you cut it or not cut it, it's up to you. In some circumstances, it's more practical to cut. In some circumstances, it's not. So you choose. It's up to you. Really, there are no strict rules whether you will offer cut or non-cut fruits, especially to the holy deities.
Okay. And also, what about just now? We also have one offenses that is put on red clothing, and
Okay.
yeah, I saw that one time in the temple, the deities they put on all put on red clothes, yeah, red clothing.
Yeah, but
And
yeah.
yeah, it is suggested we can wear the same color of the deities. So I don't know how to understand this. Don't put on red clothing. This is the one point. Another point is that it is suggested that in Ekadasi day we should wear on red clothes. Yeah.
Well, the Ekadashi, they generally, they dress the deities in a red cloth. There is no injunction for us to wear red cloth during the Ekadashi day. But if you want to wear the same color of sari as the deities are wearing, and it happens to be red, you can freely wear red without any fear. Krishna will be satisfied if you want to please him by wearing red cloth. He doesn't really mind so much whether you're wearing red, green, or blue. But if you want to match his dress, the deity's outfit, that's fine, and it's okay. I don't think you're really making any offense, although it's listed here. It's listed for pujari who is doing the puja on the altar, not if you're just coming for darshan or something.
Oh, okay.
Principle before, Prabhu, isn't it? The higher level of consciousness. If you're doing it to please Krishna, then Krishna accepts. But if you're doing it for your own sense gratification, or you want to look good for other people's benefit, then that's the wrong consciousness. If you get, regardless of the color of what you're wearing, it's a consciousness with which you approach
Yes.
it is.
Correct, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, just this is too external. This, some small details like a color, like it's so much kind of external things, and much more important is to have proper, understanding and consciousness behind then if that is there, you know, the color of the cloth doesn't really matter. I mean, sannyasis, they sometimes wear this very, you know, reddish looking cloth. It's almost red. So what is the problem? The color really do not matter much. So we should not pay too much unnecessary attention to details that don't deserve so much attention. So I would not worry. Chatur Mataji, if you want to wear red, please wear red.
Okay.
I think we should stop here now. I also have to go. So next 2 weeks, I'm sorry, I won't be able, but not so means next Wednesday and Wednesday after that. But the Wednesday after this, I'll be already in Mayapur. After the 10th of August, I'll be in Mayapur. So whatever the Wednesday comes after the 10th, I think it's the 14th of August, then we can continue. I'll write a day before on the group. So thank you all very much for being here, and see you after the August 10th. I think 14th of August.
Okay.
Hare
You mean
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
2 weeks later?
Okay,
Yeah.
Hare
Yeah. 2 weeks we'll skip. So the 2 Wednesdays we skip, and then we continue on the 3rd Wednesday. Is that okay? Understand?
Okay.
Yes.
On the third Wednesday we'll continue because
Thank
I'm
you.
traveling next 2
Warn
weeks.
you, I
Thank
might be-
you. Thank you all.
Okay, yeah. Hare
Warn you,
Krishna.
I might be traveling for 2 weeks after that as well. So
Oh, you might be traveling. So
yeah,
what?
14th and the week after I might be away, but I'll confirm once you confirm the start date. I'll let you know. Though.
I mean, we can adjust also maybe Thursday if Wednesday is not good for you or something.
I'll be away for 2 weeks. I'm traveling.
Are you away? Okay. Anyway, I'll let you know once I'm back to Mayapur, and then we can set up the day. But just count now on the 14th.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Thank you very
Hare Bol.
much.
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavata Vicara.